If you've been playing a lot of multiplayer this patch, you will no doubt have already run into Minotaurs. Yes, that's right, Minotaurs got a significant cost reduction in the 2.2 update, so both Beastmen and Khorne have been rocking them. I've got quite a few replays from both. Today we're going to be taking a look at specifically a Beastman replay. This one's from Wicked in Domination. He's taking an absolute Minobus up against the Ogres, who are buffed in Domination. Their capture weight has been fixed, so Ogre monstrous infantry now counts as infantry, unlike these Minotaurs who have monstrous capture weight. Although certainly the Minotaurs, especially with great weapons, should trade pretty well here. They're now down to 1,200, which they have crazy offensive potential for that price. They still are vulnerable to low-tier shooting. They're not going to trade great against, like, tons of low-tier spears. Their stats are not incredible. I mean, 34, 32 on the anti-large variant, but when you consider they have a 28 bonus for large, it suddenly doesn't look so bad. We've got the Butchers of Kalkengard Regiment of Renown here as well with their terror and regeneration. Should be very good against the Ogres. Taking a look at the rest of the build here. So what is that? That's what, 3 great weapons plus the Regiment of Renown. We've also got Morgar here, Brave Shaman, Lore of Wild, Brave Shaman, Lore of Shadows. Looks like Ungor Spearman Herd leading the way. More Spearman Herd here and here. For the Ogre Kingdom's starting army, we've got Slaughtermaster of the Great Boss, Iron Guts, Lead Belchers, 1 Iron Blaster, Noblars up front, some more Iron Guts up there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the reserves. For Wicked's reserves, he's got 2 Manticores, 3 Centaurs, 2 Razagors, what is that? Jeez, 7 Gore Herds with spears, 3 with shields, 4 without. One of them also is the ROR Destroyers of Drakvald, and then 3 Ungor Raiders. For the Ogres reserves, he's got 3 Bulls, 3 Mournfang Calves, single Maneater with pistol, single Lead Belcher, and 2 Noblars. And we're back. So the bus sweeping up through the woods, that is going to bring some serious forward pressure onto the Ogres. Meanwhile, Wicked here, the submitter of this replay, is just bringing some of his spears back to secure this point. Definitely love the combination of the spears and the Minotaurs against, against the Ogre Kingdoms. Obviously, the spears are a pretty obvious pick, but the Minotaurs are great weapons. I mean, certainly there's not as much low-tier shooting from the Ogres as you might see from like a Bretonia or, you know, Wood Elves, High Elves. They just have the Trappers, right, that would be able to engage these guys in that sort of way, and everything else is going to be pretty much susceptible to them in melee. They actually have the same weapon strength as Man-Eaters, although I think Man-Eaters have significantly better attack and defense stats. We'll have to look at that maybe after the fact, run some quick comparisons, but certainly Minotaurs at cheaper cost, they definitely seem quite a bit more appealing. And it looks like double cap on both sides here by Wicked as he brings in his forward pressure. A little bit of Melkoth mystifying miasma on those Iron Guts. I think technically it's best against units 25 or up. These Iron Guts don't quite have enough unit models to optimize it. Even the regular Ogre Bulls would be, you know, pretty decent, but I like the pick of the Iron Guts here to give you some extra armor. They're going to be much more resistant to Ungor Raiders and Ungor Spearmen, both of which actually trade pretty cost efficiently against regular Ogre Bulls. But of course, the Minotaurs are going to absolutely just cut through the buttery armor of these Iron Guts. That unit very quickly going to pull away. The Lead Belchers are firing in quite a bit here, but the penetration won't do that much against these Minotaurs here. It's going to be much better against like just regular infantry, but yeah, definitely want to watch this brawl up close as these Minotaurs and their golden armor duke it out with the blue-clad Ogres. Looking very, very cool. These big boys rumbling, tumbling, and right now things are actually going reasonably well for the Ogres. They're actually reaping quite a bit of value here. It doesn't seem like the Minotaurs are getting that many attacks. They're kind of like force pathing through. A couple of them, I think, maybe all of them, perhaps, are trying to force path through to get on that Iron Blaster, when really they all should just start attacking like these Iron Guts, like just go one to one on these Iron Guts. Once they start attacking the Mournfang Cavalry as well, they will do quite a bit of damage there. I believe they're these Great Weapon Mournfangs. Yes, so they do also have a bonus versus large as well. But let's see. Right now, the Minotaurs are mostly unsupported. There's a lot of Ogre units coming straight out of their deployment zone. But in the meanwhile, Morgar has summoned up some spawn to go after the lead belchers there. And he himself is just slapping the fat of this Slaughtermaster here with his crab claw, just poking his nipple or something. I don't know. Giving the titty twister of the dark gods. Let's see. Hopefully the video doesn't get demonetized just for me saying that. But anyway, the Minotaurs start running out of steam a little bit. Even the Butchers of Galkangard with their regeneration, they just kind of get heavily outnumbered here, and they don't necessarily have enough support. And that is sort of the issue with Minotaurs, always has been, still is to a degree. I mean, even with the price reduction, they still can sometimes just not do what you need them to. But let's see here. We've still got some Razor War herds fighting. And although it might seem like an overextension, certainly it has allowed Wicked to decisively secure this objective. He's got 3 spears now defending there. He's got quite a bit of forces still forward pressuring, and like raiders and spears also coming to continue to reinforce this pressure. Both his casters are hanging around here as well. Morgar tying up a lot of value. So tactically, this may end up being worth it. And these 2 Minotaurs also come back from route within range, perhaps collapse these Mournfang Cavalry or the Iron Blaster. And I do love the color scheme too. It just defaults to Torox's color scheme for all Beastmen players now. We get to see the gold and red Minotaurs, which are definitely the best Minotaurs by far. But this Iron Blaster looking pretty vulnerable here. Still trying to shoot over into this position, break up some of those spears and like these Ungor Raiders and whatnot. But definitely needs to try and get away if they can. I mean, 66 speed on the Iron Blaster, only 62 on Minotaurs. It definitely could get away if they really wanted to concentrate, but that sort of forward pressure, like I said, allows the Beastmen to bring in a lot of resources in a second wave, and they start to claw back. I mean, still pretty far behind in terms of gold damage value on his opponent's army, but Wicked still has plenty of tools left in his toolkit. The Minotaurs, the handful that do remain here, do manage to shut down, finish off the Iron Blaster before getting collapsed by Great Weapon Mournfangs. Man, only Mournfangs and Crushers can make Minotaurs look small in comparison. And the Minotaurs pretty much do get finished like to a cow just about here, but Lead Belcher's also taking some significant damage. Got the second spawn summon from Morgar already up, and just continuing to bog units down here. So it's actually looking okay for the Beastmen right now, tactically. Ogres are still just having a hard time securing over here. Like, this Noblar is not really going to do much against all those Ungor Spearmen. It looks like a Manticore coming in now. Morgar also just tanking and regenerating and poisoning all these units as they try and get through. We've got some Centaurs in here as well. Manticore should be able to drop some quick terror and get some of these Iron Guts to flee off the field. They are not immune to psychology, unlike Man-Eaters. So a nice charge from the Manticore. Manticore is very decent in a situation like this where they can kind of get a supporting charge, and it looks like we're going to see from the Beastmen a Traderkin as well. Traderkin's actually going to be probably the best spell for Beastmen to deal damage against Ogres, although it says strong versus single combatant. From what I understand on the damage scaling on this one, I think it actually might hit multiple targets. I would need to look and double check on that. But I forget the number of max targets on that one. I want to say it's something weird like 2 or 3. But regardless, should still be able to do some pretty decent damage to Ogres over time if you continue to spam that. But you have seen a few Melkosts used as well here. Both of these casters do have Jagged Dagger, which will help them recharge their Winds of Magic faster. It's not going to give you any extra Winds of Magic. No power reserve component there. But yeah, this kind of forcing the Ogres to respond to this forward pressure has pulled away so much value now in the center. These 2 Butchers of Galkangard still hanging around, managed to rout off the Lead Belchers. So all is not lost for the Minotaurs necessarily. Although I'll be curious to see if these 2 can even fight these Noblars, or might just get killed by them. But we'll see. Certainly they do have very high melee defense, so shouldn't be taking too many hits from the Noblars, at least in their front arc there. Army damage value-wise, yeah, another Good closing of the gap here by Wicked, although his forces are starting to run out of steam a little bit over on this far side. So bringing in some more Ungor Spears as the Manticore gets chopped up by the Iron Guts. Bringing in some more Centigores just to respond here, try and get a nice charge on those Bulls. Let's actually check the charge damage here as they come in. We're getting a nice side charge. Ooh, looks like the Bulls actually choose to countercharge. Great micro here from Wicked to just pull away there or not. And there we go. Sorry, guys. I think OBS just stopped recording for some reason. But anyway, should all be all good now. Yeah, the Centaur is going to get a charge in here. The Bulls did try and come back to the objective to get some support, but the Noblars should be issued an attack order and rushing in right now to help. As it is, the Centaurs are going to get a pretty good charge in, and they'll get their own spear support here with the Destroyers of Drakwold. So that is going to be a pretty bad situation for those Bulls. Likewise, the Ogres just are never quite able to amass enough value to break through over here. I think earlier we saw the Massacre army ability that gives Terror used. Was it over on this side? I don't know. Really, something with Terror needs to swoop in on this side, heavy hitting, and try and rout all these Ungors off. Yeah, something with Terror, whether that be an army ability or whatever else. Morgar currently getting pinned against the edge of the map there by some Mournfangs. Let's just ignore him for now. And watch as the Ogres continue to pile on. Looks like they are starting to finally get through all these Iron Guts, you know, against a huge horde of Ungor Spearmen. Without support, I don't think the Ungor Spearmen will necessarily win this, but I don't know if they'll necessarily lose super quickly either. There's hundreds and hundreds of them right there. So let's see if the Iron Guts are able to grind through. As it is right now, Wicked could just about Helm's Deep, so to speak, just fortify one objective and defend from there. He's getting very close to that point. It's not quite there yet, but definitely closing the distance ever so slowly. But looks like we got some more Ungor Spearmen herd and some great Centaurs. Macroed in here is this Vanguard ability of the Beastmen. The fact that so many of your units can come in and get to objectives very quickly definitely benefits Ogres also now, though, with the Ogres themselves having real capture weight are definitely quite threatening. I mean, all Ogre infantry is relatively quick at 50-ish speed. You got the heavy cavalry as well. I mean, most things, everything besides the Noblars, I guess, is pretty good speed, right? So definitely something to be aware of. But look at this horde of bloody Ungors, man. Just holding out like a Beastman never thought they could, no doubt. And slowly the Slaughtermaster also getting ground down. 2v1 versus these two casters. I mean, they definitely will do quite a bit of damage against him. The Beastmen casters, absolutely not pushovers. 300 weapon strength, 310. Be specifics, nice charge bonus as well, decent attack. I mean, they're not crazy good combatants, but over 300 weapon strength is pretty good for a caster. So definitely like to see those two go in 2v1 there. On the Slaughtermaster, they do manage to rout him off. And at this point, things are looking pretty safe for, yeah, things are looking pretty safe for Wicked, but we'll see. Definitely has quite a bit more to try and finish off here. Ogre's very strong in center, but just continuing to get bottled up. Those two clutch spears over on the side, fighting it out, but let's keep it in cinematic cam over here as the last of the Iron Guts get ground down. Ungor Spearmen running rampant across the field. We've got these Razorgore herds as well. Just such a great, cheap support unit. Good armor piercing damage, especially given the Ogres don't have the best defensive stats. Something like a Razorgore, you know, on the charge certainly can do enough damage to be effective. I mean, you think about it, 46 charge, 25 attack really isn't incredible. I mean, 46 charge would put Razorgore herds on par with other units in a similar price range, though, like light cavalry, like Dark Riders have a similar charge bonus. I want to say Knights Errant are in a similar ballpark too. But yeah, the armor piercing damage, obviously lower model count, but still should be able to get some pretty good damage in. Given that, I mean, even Iron Guts with only 40 melee defense, 46 charge is certainly enough to put a hurt on them. But let's keep it close to the bloody Ungors. So even though he probably came from the Minotaurs, I mean, Minotaurs are still what they always have been, and relatively squishy, can run out of steam pretty easily, and especially without the spear support. Now, arguably, Wicked should have maybe pulled the Minotaurs back at a certain point, tried to fight with spear support, but at the same time, hard to argue that the strategy hasn't been effective in just keeping the Ogres bottled up and trading reasonably cost effectively, even though he has been behind a lot of this time. 1 to 2,000 on army damage value, never got too far out of reach, and just pressuring forward on the objectives as well now means that, yeah, he's very far ahead, could easily just one-cap this and win, but why not keep up the pressure at this point and just finish strong against the Ogres? So there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. I definitely think you'll be seeing more Minotaurs going forward, and probably 1 or 2 of them paid for themselves here, maybe in the late game against that Iron Blaster. Certainly tactically taking it out was very important. The fact that they were able to sneak in there and do it is quite nice, but I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely going to be casting some more Minotaur games, and I guess I'll probably have more opinions as time goes on, but it's definitely an interesting choice for Beastmen to be able to take here. I mean, they didn't all pay for themselves. A couple of them got to pretty good value, like I said, especially coming back, taking that Iron Blaster out in the late game. But really, the tale of the Beastmen's success here is absolutely Ungor Spearman Herd, and it's kind of to be expected. Spear units are going to be good against Ogres, who would have expected, but especially the Ungor Spearman Herd, given their high-ish attack. I mean, we'll have to look at that in comparison to some other units, but pretty much all of them are going to get some great value here, ROR included. Centaurs also do a nice job kind of contributing, as do the Razorgors. On the Ogres side, these kill numbers, 337 kills for those Iron Guts. Man, they were slaughtering some Ungors, but it wasn't quite enough at the end of the day. They still just weren't able to get onto those objectives and seize them. Ultimately, I think this Ogre build's just a little bit too small. Like, I really like the pick of the Iron Guts. Obviously, they were quite effective. But here in the reserves, although the Mornfangs did pay for themselves, like I said, I would probably just go a little bit wider. Try and take more Noblars and Trappers especially. Trappers are going to trade very well against a lot of Beastmen units, even some of their high-value stuff, and just having those extra bodies kind of taking up space would have been quite helpful. Leadbelchers also were a little bit of an odd pick here. Just these missile units in general, protecting them against the Beastmen can be very tough, so it would have been better to just perhaps invest that in more melee killing power. Hard to say. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though. What's been your experience using Minotaurs, fighting against them, whatever. Really look forward to seeing your comments. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.